Welcome to my humble little office. My name is R. Keith Andrews. I am a spiritual guide and paranormal adept. The journey continues today on June 16th, 2023 at approximately 5:47 p.m. PST. Now, I have returned to this world for one primary purpose, and that is working together, we can make this a better world for virtually everybody. Now, I bill myself as a spiritual guide because the tools that I offer are the exact same tools I personally use in my day-to-day life. And the philosophies of life I talk about are the philosophies I personally live by. Now, right off the bat, I do apologize for being late, but before I get into that, Derek, how you doing? Glad you could join us. Now, let me just grab a couple things here. Family responsibilities and the fact that it's my son's graduation party tonight kind of held things up a little, in case you hadn't noticed by the fact I'm this late. So, Derek, you are in with the gold, and Emmy is in right behind with the silver. Stress level has been, to say the least, off the charts today. Primarily because of the fact that, well, with my son going to his grad party tonight, it brought back all the memories of my going to my grad party, or more to the point, the grad party of the people in grade 11. No, I was in grade 11, and the grad party that happened to, I lost a really good friend that was actually killed at the grad party. Needless to say, all these memories come back, and my nerves are shot. This said, I did go to a webinar yesterday, and no, I'm not going to tell you which webinar. I went to a webinar yesterday on how to produce a book efficiently, thinking they were going to tell me something that was useful. As it turned out, in my opinion, it was nothing but an hour and a half sales pitch for somebody that thought very highly of themselves. Now, I will tell you, there's no question the man has accomplished a fair chunk where it comes to writing, where it comes to the number of books he's written, where it comes to the people he's met. Absolutely. Does this make him better than any one of you? Not a prayer. It just doesn't. Okay, so I sat through it. Didn't actually get an answer to the question I did ask in the beginning of the webinar, which he asked for information he asked for questions, so I put one out there. Didn't get an answer to it. Now, with this in mind, while I'm on air here, while I'm on live stream, absolutely, if you have a question, even if it's not in the same topic we're discussing at the time, come right out and ask. Okay, but do me a favor and put at least part of the question in block caps, as in all capital letters, or a waving hand to get my attention, because I'm not perfect by any means. And if you find I didn't ask a question, if I didn't answer your question, come right out and ask it again. Okay, because I am by no means perfect. That is just a flat out reality. Okay, so with that in mind, there we go. Now we've got all that running properly. I'm not expecting an incredible turnout tonight because of the fact I'm this late, and there are many people, many other shows that come on. Okay, and that's okay. Okay, I do appreciate you guys showing up. So, as it says in the list, on the title, as requested, I am going to be looking at the figurine side of writing and planning, and I'm going to show you some of the figures I work with. Okay. And that being said, let's look at this other little detail here. Like I said, little scattered, but that seems to be normal. The other issue is, of course, I was dealing with government paperwork today, and that was a bit of a fiasco. Okay, but I will work through it. So we take that stuff and put that over there. Those I don't require. And this neat little toy. Now, just a point in fact, guys. If you've got a topic you would like me to touch on or to go into, okay, I've got my calendar sitting right beside me. Today is Friday. So right now, I'm pretty open. Sunday itself is already spoken for. Okay. So Sunday is already laid out, and that's just the way that sits. However, I haven't chosen what I'm doing for tomorrow. Okay, I will come up with something hopefully before the end of the show. Or if you guys have a topic that you'd like me to look at, understanding I am not getting into politics and I'm not getting into the religious side of things. Okay, way too many complications can arise that way. But let's just see what I got here. That's all that sitting there, so that's good. Oh, and just for those of you that are that way inclined, okay, I've got the video over on this side, the one that you guys see. Joe, how you doing? Oh, what do we got? Joe goes, hello, right off the bat, what is the airdrop on your smartphone and the do's and don'ts of using it? Well, right off the bat, we're into technology, and I have no idea what an airdrop is. Okay, from my standpoint, an airdrop is you take your phone, you let go of it, and you let it drop into your hand. Do's and don'ts, if you're going to drop it like that, don't miss. But I have no idea what an airdrop is. Okay, the only time I've ever heard of airdrops, it's a military supply drop. So hopefully with that question listed, somebody coming into the chat room will actually be able to give us an answer. That's the nice thing about the family in this chat room, is if you ask a question, there are a lot of people that will come up with information. Okay. So I've got the same video that you guys are looking at. Okay, over here. And Christy, how you doing? Glad you could join us. And then I've now got Facebook up on this side. I don't have the chat feature of the Facebook up, but I do have the messenger side of it sitting up here. So for those of you that are already connected, at least I can keep an eye on it to a degree. Other than that, I'm still working on how that works. Okay, but like I said, I went to this webinar, right? The one thing that they said, that did work out well was they reiterated the importance of getting visibility. Now, to this end, and I'll get your guys' input on this because I've got to start working on it somewhere. Clearly, turning to the so-called professionals has been a waste of money. Okay, I'm just working out how much of a waste of money it was. In answer to your question there, Christy, aside from my stress level being off the charts right now, I'm doing fine. Now, where it comes to the social media, I am on Facebook. Okay, I do have a page for Inner Voice Enterprises on Facebook. I'm wondering if I've got the other page. Probably not, but let's just take a peek. See all profiles. Oh, look at that. And I will have to get into that. As a matter of fact, so I've got Facebook itself. I've got my business page for Inner Voice Enterprises. And I've got a Facebook page for Yldrbac. Okay, then I am on LinkedIn on Twitter. Now, what I don't know, and I am, I'm quite open to the idea. Are there any other social media platforms that any of you feel would be beneficial for actually starting to work the social media side? Sorry, guys, I'm actually turning to you for training in the marketing side of things, because the so-called professionals have proven to be very greedy and very almost pointless to me. I've got a couple of people that I do have to contact directly. As a matter of fact, that is something I will do as far as the overall the newsletter I'm about to bring out. But where are we here? Now, here's the nice part. Okay, like I said, the figurine side of writing and planning. Now, that's the first book. It's actually literally the 10th in the series. Okay, but that is the birth of the wolf pack. Okay, and when I first wrote this, okay, I sent the manuscript to my artist, to what turned out to be my artist, and he's the one that came up with the idea for the actual wolves in front. Okay, my artist in England is the one that actually came up with the whole idea of the wolves in front here. So, bearing in mind I hadn't written that part, when he came back with the image, I actually wrote this into the storyline. Okay, and here we have Jeremiah, we have Grisa, and we have Shaula. Okay, actually, I believe that's Shaura. I'd have to double check, but and these are only bit players, to be honest with you. But let us see if I've got one of those. Now, these ones aren't exactly new characters, but see, now this one was pre-painted, so I'm not dealing with it. But where do we go? This one here, I am going to make certain takes on the appropriate color of Grisa himself. Okay, bear in mind this is when, as far as D&D goes, that would be a warg, but this is the same size as the dare wolf that is in the books. And just to give you an idea, where is not that one? What do we got here? Here we are. Whoop. Just looking for a specific character. Not that one, but give you an idea. Okay, that's a dare wolf. Now this, that's what I'm looking for. Nope. I definitely have to get some of these guys tied off. In case you're wondering, I'm sitting on about 500 different figures. This would work. Now, that's the size of a dare wolf. That's the size of a human. Okay, this is what's wandering around that Jeremiah actually works with. Now, here's the neat part about it. Okay, I am slowly finding the figures that I'm going to be painting in that figure. In that, maybe I should think before I speak. What do you figure? Okay, I am slowly picking out the characters I'm going to require. So, do we actually have the one I'm aiming for? Possibly not. Or at least not right here. Because I didn't bring up the other package. But this one, I'll show you what it ends up taking a look at it like, because I'm going to modify it. I just have to look it up. And should actually call that up if I haven't already. Let us see if I've got the book handy. I know what it was, so that works out. If we go to that one, let us pop up here. There. Okay, that answers that. So, we take a look at that, and this one we will end up modifying to, and this is the one that while I'm doing the choreography side of things, I will turn around. How we doing, David? Glad you could join us. Oh, I forgot this part. My apologies. I did say Derek is here with the gold. Emmy's showing up with the silver. And then we have Joe, you actually came in with the bronze and a question right off the hop. Then we have Christy Abels in with the honorable mention. Okay, now remember, guys, no matter who comes through the gate first, there is not a one of you that is less important, especially on a spiritual level, than the next one. Now, like I said, I listened to this webinar. Turned out to be a real sales pitch. Okay, and yes, there is no question that sales are necessary. Absolutely. Okay, but this little critter, I'm going to have to change the color on a little, but that's one of the ones that I'm working at. Okay, now let us close this off because I just don't desire to get it screwed up. That's got a bunch of other figures in it, but that's beside the point. Now, we have a couple of things going on. Let's start with the birth of the wolf pack. Okay, now, in this story, okay, it starts off in the bar, in Casey's Bar and Grill. Okay, but Jeremiah himself is a character that changes names but runs through the entire series. Okay, and you'll find out a few of them. Like, for instance, right in, if I look at this, and I am looking at the figures and what have you. When I go into chapter 1 here, and I'm not going to read the whole chapter. Okay, as a matter of fact, I'm not actually planning on reading much of any of it. But when he first comes in, there we go. Right in the first chapter, he runs into an old friend of his. Okay, that addresses him as Billion Belenderos. Now, Billion is a character whose the name came from way back in the first book of this series. Okay, now this is 10. This is book 11. Okay, and before anybody tries to ask, we'll just solve that problem. Okay, much as I'd love to say they're available on Amazon, they really aren't at the moment. You can see them on the net, but I'm having to work my way around all of that for a lot of reasons. But with that in mind, let's minimize that and go to, where are we? That one. Okay. Now, if you're trying to get a hold of me, if you're trying to buy any one of the books I deal with, okay, this is the email address to contact me through. And yes, for those of you that have sent something in the last few days, I will be going through it tonight and getting back to you on it. Okay. But I figured out that if I can pull the characters together, if I can find characters that actually match, it works out really well. But that's the first one that came out. The second one in the series is already in print, and yes, I will be posting these elsewhere at this point. Okay, I finally got my head on straight on that note. But this is the end of an epoch. Okay, which is the sequel to The Birth of the Wolf Pack. But to give you an idea, the last chapter of this one, either the full last chapter or the last half of the last chapter, I used directly as the prologue to the end of an epoch. Okay, because I desired to have a way of tying it all together. Okay, but in the first chapter, there's a hint of a fight. In the second chapter, there is a full-blown choreographed battle. Now, this is one of the neat little critters I've been working on. Okay, and as you can see, I've gone from the idea of going, okay, a lizard has to be green or gray. Okay, I took a look at it from this standpoint. Okay, I looked at it and went, okay, if you look at snakes are very multicolored. Okay, they are, and the brighter the color, the more deadly they are. Needless to say, this is a warning sign on the back. But you got to remember, and where did I put one figure there? Standard human. I'm just going to grab one to give you an idea. And this guy will work. Now, this will give you an idea of what you're looking at. Okay. This here is a subterranean lizard. Now, if you take a look at the size of it, now I am getting done, and I will be doing a little bit of work on this a little later. Take a look at the size of it compared to a standard human. Okay. This is the kind of a mess you're looking at when we're talking about creatures. Now, understand, Birth of the Wolf Pack is post-apocalyptic. Okay. But we're talking post-apocalyptic. Post-apocalyptic. That came out well, didn't it? Okay. And this neat little critter comes up from underground, is drawn up by the primary adversary. So this is one of the subterranean lizards that we're looking at. So whenever I'm writing a scene, what I end up doing is taking this. I take this neat little figure and set it up where I can look at it. Now, where did I put over there? Definitely have to be careful that I don't hurt myself in the process of all of this. Well, that was useful. Just sworn I had a bin for batteries there. I've got batteries all over the place there. There it is. Pop that in there. And I will require this. Like I said, I was asked if I could bring out some of the figures I'm working with. And I figured, what the heck, why not? But, that's beige, that doesn't work. That'll work. Like I said, from my standpoint, I don't actually have the brushes out right now because, well, frankly, I couldn't find them. But I take a look at that. And we grab this neat little thing here, also known as a toothpick. These are handy little things, especially if you're trying to poke a hole in your foot by accident. They work great. Not entirely certain that's a good goal, but it is the way things go. Now, and I do think what we're going to do here, because I need the yellow to start with. So we just add yellow for the eyes. Now, I don't expect you to be able to see that by any functional stretch. But I figure, what the heck, I might as well get it done and get some of this dealt with while I'm working on it, while I'm talking to you. This is definitely a different way of doing things, but then today ended up being very off kilter. Now, here's a bizarre question for you guys. I'm thinking I've got one or two choices with the claws. Okay, I can either go with leaving them ivory, leaving them white, painting them red, or possibly painting them yellow, as in dirty claws. Here's a neat little question from my end to you. In your guys' opinion, what color as far as the claws? Because I think the claws and teeth are going to end up being the same. But in your eyes, what color would you suggest? Just because I'm curious. And yes, I realize I'm the one that has final say, but that doesn't mean I can't ask. Put my glass down, can't see what I'm looking at. So when I take a look at that, when I got to the end of an epoch, I picked it up right after the birth of the wolf pack. And the same thing applies when you get to the back end of the end of an epoch. The last chapter, part of the last chapter is what gets used for the prologue in the Return to Paradise, which I am now literally in the last third of tying it together. I'm going to show you something from the other side of the box. No, not that one. This one. These guys. Yes, I finally got around to organizing my figures up front. Now, it worked out really kind of well. Here we have an Arborean. Okay. This is one of those guys that is literally in Races of the Worlds. Okay, so I took a look at it, and as you can see, it's got the face the whole 9 yards. Okay, in this case, this one's got 4 arms. But, where are we here? Emmy's going off-white with a little red for blood on the claws and maybe on the teeth. I appreciate that, Emmy. And here's the neat part about it. Because of the fact we're live, this works out really convenient in some ways. Turn around here. And we go crimson. No, that's holiday. Tucson red actually works really well. Neon, not a good color for blood. Do I not have... No, but that's okay. So, because the thing is, I've got so many of these guys that are already active. Okay, now this particular tree, this particular Arborean has 4 arms, but I stumbled across another one because there's two different groups of Arboreans in the Yldrbacian Chronicles. Okay, you've got the ones that are generally speaking nice people. That's these guys. And then you've got the ones that have been turned. And this is the newest one. And this one I have shown you a little bit of before, but I'm making headway with it. Well, that's a good question. Yeah, this is the paint I'm using. Emmy, this is called acrylic. That's the paint I'm using for it. Okay. And, it works great. Somewhere around here, I've got a whole pile of paintbrushes, but they went missing. So, we put my Arboreans in one bin. Sad part is, all of these bins that I've got they don't mix and match the lids well. They also don't cooperate to get inside the bin very well on occasion. It'd be nice if they didn't actually fight with each other while I was trying to put them back to bed. But apparently they're going to argue the point. Which might give you an idea of how much of a pain in the neck these guys can be. I pulled them out of here. I really did. But obviously they're not going to cooperate, so they can sit there and be cold. Now, where do we go here? One day, Shadow has said that he wants to sit down with me and really go over some different painting techniques. And rest assured, if I don't know what I'm doing, I have no problem talking to somebody that does. And I've seen a lot of Shadow's work. Okay, like I've seen a bunch of stuff he's done. And with that in mind, I know he's got a talent that goes way beyond what I've got. So, take the glass off so I can see what I'm doing. And let's not worry too much about getting it all covered. Because let's face it, blood doesn't cover the entire thing. Can't read. Emmy's going, after you finish them, you can also put a flat or glossy sealer on them. Now, that's not a bad idea. I haven't got one, in all fairness, which may explain why some of them have where the paint has worn off some of them. But I figure if I take a look at these and just add a little bit as I go, it actually makes it easier to write because now I've got a visual tool. When I go to write about one of these guys, all of a sudden I'm sitting in really good shape. But it does take a certain amount of concentration, which this week has been, well, my son's graduating and that really throws things for a loop as far as actually getting a little bit of quality time or a little bit of thinking time anyway. So what I'm looking at here, I'm not worried in this case because I'm looking at the blood side of it. If I end up with blood on the fur, I think that happens on occasion. When you take a look at a wild animal, quite often you'll end up with blood on the talons. Blood on the talons, blood on the fur, that sort of thing. I've often wondered what it would be like, what it would work like if you just set up the spray bomb off and see what happened. I'm pretty certain that's what they do a lot of the time in the movies. But these guys, this is literally an issue of making the figures a little bit more realistic from my standpoint. It makes it easier to visualize them while I'm writing. Now, the funny thing is, when I went to the webinar yesterday, I think it was, okay, they had laid out a real neat little setup. Okay, they made a bunch of comments about what could be done, what was necessary. And the one thing they said that stood out is absolutely wrong. They said, you must have a well-known celebrity writing the foreword on your books. Okay, and here's the reality behind it. I'm not interested in whether a well-known celebrity has claimed to have read the book and decided they were going to, I'll pay you $2,500 to write a testimonial. Not going to happen. Okay, now maybe that's the wrong way to go about it. The guy that was holding the webinar said, if you're not doing it my way, you really don't want to be successful. Fact of the matter is, he started off saying, and it was really weird. Okay, he goes, I will show you how to take a book from not even a story to in print, in your hand in 10 weeks. Now, it was really kind of comical when I listened to that. I went through the webinar anyway. But the reality of it is, that I just finished putting one together in 3 weeks. Okay, from scratch to print. Now, I haven't gotten the extra copies in my hand, but Believe in Your Finances and Follow Your Dreams is already in print, and I only started writing it about 3 weeks ago. It's in the printers, rather. Okay. So now what I'm looking at is, okay, I'm working on Believe in Your Job and Follow Your Dreams. That one should be out before the end of the month. Now, what do we got here? I'm just trying to tie this one off. I did find, it's neat. My stress level's been off the charts, and yet painting these actually helps keep things a little bit calmer. So I'm looking at it going, okay. Now, as per your suggestion there, Emmy, okay, we now have blood tip claws. Now they're not completely covered because, let's face it, you don't necessarily dip all of your finger into a sandwich, into a cup of soup when you're eating it. Matter of fact, it's really a bad idea to do that. But the book and the fact of the matter is, these guys, and there we have the red claws. They don't show up well at this point. Not entirely a surprise, really. But there we have it. Okay. I've still got the back claws to work on, but I'm going to leave those dry for a minute. Now, I mentioned I had this other one out. Okay. And rest assured, these books, I don't require figures for. Okay. This is the last one. Now, this took me 3 weeks to put together. Okay, I'll have another one out. Where are we? We're at the end of June. Yeah. Well, we're at the middle of June. So I will have another one of these little ones out before the end of July. And that'll be Believe in Your Job and Follow Your Dreams. Okay. And that's simply the same idea. Small book, easy to understand, simple tools to implement. But I'll guarantee I do not require figures to help with visualizing this stuff. What do we got? Yeah, Emmy's going, I used to paint figures for my brother and uncles. Zero gauge train layout. They were a lot smaller. I probably did over 100. Yeah, and that's just it. I've thought about the idea. I played with the idea as far as the trains go. They are a really neat hobby, building an entire diorama. Okay, and that's something else I'm looking at. Like, of these little guys, I've got in excess of 500 of these floating around. Now, what is this? Oh, yes. Now, in the Return to Paradise, we've got a neat little combat. Okay. Now, bear in mind, that's the size of a normal person. Okay. This little monster. Now, bear in mind, take him at 6 feet as just a gauge line. Okay. Yep, that'd be about right. Okay. Now, with him at 6 feet, compare that. You're dealing with a two-headed giant. Okay. At 13. This one is at 13. This is the guy that I picked to actually utilize on one of the major battles. In the Return to Paradise. Okay. Whereas this guy all of a sudden shows up amongst a number of other people. Okay. So this is one of the assailants they get. This is not the primary adversary by any functional stretch. Okay, but, and then we've got the second hat, and then obviously this one's a little bigger. Okay, because if you think about it, this one measures at about 13. Okay, well, this one measures closer to about 20, just by looking at the figure on it. Okay, so this is like I use these when I go to lay out a battle. I literally lay them out on the ground in order to make it in order, like on the tabletop, in order to make it happen. Now, I do have this little monster that I really have to look at making sure I stay on track with things. But these are ones, and bear in mind, this critter I've seen before. Okay, the reason I painted him that color was literally first-hand visibility. This guy you'll find actually in Inner Earth. Now, I wouldn't recommend going there and picking a fight. Because in case you couldn't tell, take a look at the size of his maw and take a look at the size of the person. This is not a good setup. Okay. So what I do is I take a look at the different figures. I've started painting them so that I know exactly who they are. And I don't know if I've got... Actually, I do know. I just don't know. Oh, I didn't bring it down. That's why. So I think what I'm going to have to do, because there's a couple of figures I know where they are. Okay. That, like I said, I was going to look at some of these ones and show you what we're working with. But this little critter is just one of the creatures right near, I think it's right in the beginning of the Return to Paradise that you end up with these guys. And by the way, haven't found the vehicles yet, but I've got to go looking for what is it? For big rigs to actually make a couple of the vehicles. It's just one of those sidetracks or one of those extra things to do when I'm not actually physically writing. Now, where is this all leading? Well, it's all leading to this. I've already worked out the ratios and what have you. I'm going to be taking my company and turning it into a full-blown publishing company that will handle your guys' books. Will it cost you? Certainly. I'm not going to tell you I'm going to give you, do all of it for free. Not a prayer. But I did talk to my active editor, and she has said absolutely she's quite willing to take on the extra work. But give me a little bit to figure out the exact parameters on how to charge for it, etc. Well, actually, that's not right. Figured out how to charge for it. Oh, I'm just looking at that, Emmy, and Emmy's just reminding me, make sure you get a sealer for acrylic paint. Okay, and yeah, I will absolutely do that. Seems to me that makes sense, but I understand the fact that many people overlook the obvious. But yeah, this guy's starting to look like a complete individual. I was about to say complete something else. His attitude may be that way, but not quite. So I'm looking at this. Now, with that in mind, okay, these are just a couple of the figures I've been working with. And like I said, it just boils down to making sure that things take a little bit more of a lively appearance. Funny part about it from my end is I do my best to involve as many senses as I can get away with. Okay. Now the one that I haven't quite figured out, and yes, I just did. So I will have to do that to bring people into the real sense of the situation. Okay. Now, am I well read? Obviously not. But from my standpoint, it's not an issue of being well read. It's an issue of having a well-grounded idea. A well-designed, a well thought out image that you're striving to bring to light. Now you'll notice I'm not actually worrying too much about the teeth being completely covered, because let's face it, they aren't. So what I'm doing is just essentially giving them enough of a coat that they take on that feel, that appearance, so that when I'm dealing with them, I can just look at it and add that to the storyline. Makes it so much easier to remember all the different individuals. So I'm just going to touch up a little bit more on the teeth here, and I've got a couple of guys to show you. One of which, and you're going to love it, well, I think you'll love it, because of the fact of the way I write. I figured it out the other day. I'm actually writing 23 books at the same time. This does not make me better than any one of you. I've heard many of you have mentioned, gee, I'd really like to get a book written. I am more than willing. I'm more than willing to sit down and go, this is what you got and what you can do. But it's not a question of it's the best way, or you can't do it without me. Christine, how you doing? Glad you could join us. I was very late getting in today because of family obligations. And, that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. No, actually, that's literally what happened. So we get this wonderful, neat little problem. But when I talk about getting a publishing company up and running, I'm not kidding. Okay. I figure I've got 8 books out already. It's time to start making it work. So this little guy can go up here for a minute. Now, one of the nice parts, one of the things I did find when I'm writing, my mind will go in like 15 different directions. I was asking, just while I was working on government paperwork today, the person helping me sort it out goes, how do you look at multitasking? I looked at the person and went, it's what I do. It literally is what I do. I have no idea how to work on only one thing at a time. But that said, I did say this was up. I should actually do this. And what do we got here? Now, again, if you've got a question, absolutely pop it up in either all caps, at least partially block cap, or throw a wavy hand in there so I can spot the thing. Now this, where is it? I was going through my figures the other day while I sorted them out. Okay. And while I'm sorting them out, a thought came to me. Okay. Because like I said, there is not a race that is all good or all bad. So these guys, as if you're a gamer, these are hill giants. Now, take a look at this. We have this guy, and we have a normal sized human. Okay. When you take a look at that, you can see the problem. But I've got a scene in the Return to Paradise where we have 6 of these guys beating on another giant, on a greenskin giant. Okay, where the wolf pack is going to come in and rescue the greenskin giant, because again, we are dealing with a neat little situation where Jeremiah and the wolf pack don't tolerate bullies, they don't tolerate gang warfare, that sort of thing. Okay, and this is just their way of stepping in and trying to help out. So I get a little on the graphic side, just be aware. Okay, but when I was going through my my stack of figures, turns out I actually have one of each of the giants I've been able to find. Now, what is that? Yldrbac. I'll put him back where he was. And again, you'll notice that much as he's one color, okay, you throw a little bit of color in that changes it. Now, as you can tell, I am not perfect by any functional stretch. Okay, but I do my best. You know, if I was painting them and going, I'm going to resell them, then I would expect me to actually put them together a little better. Okay, but this particular book, by the way, and I know I asked this earlier. Okay, if you've got a suggestion for, well, that was drawn out. If you have a suggestion for one of the social media platforms that you feel may be beneficial to either, promote my books or to turn around and promote the YouTube channel or the news and the newsletters or all of the above. Okay, absolutely. If you have an idea, drop me a line. Let me know. Like, drop me a line and just drop a note in the chat room. I am doing my best to keep an eye on it. Yeah, what do we got here? Now, I know there are a lot of people floating around. Now, today is an interesting setup for me. Where is. No, that's more. I'm trying to figure out what the heck I did with the other ones. Brought a whole bunch of them back. Oh, this neat little critter. I think I showed you this guy before. Okay. Was looking for the other bin that's got what I'm looking for, but this little guy here, again, he played. This is according to D&D, this is a displacer beast. It's this critter that comes into play very early in the birth of the wolf pack. Okay, where we have this pelt being used. And again, yes, I'm very much a gamer in case you hadn't noticed. There we are. Now, I gotta ask Christine, because, well, I'm nosy. What are you having for dinner? If you don't mind my asking. Or if you're willing to share. And I don't mean the meal because I'm sure it'll be cold by the time it got here. What do I got here? These are neat little figures. Yeah, those are actors. Now, I do not understand why this isn't going together, but hey, what the heck. Oh, there we have it. There we go. Put the arboreans to sleep. Now, what did I do with? Well, that's very much an annoyance. Because I'm looking at this going, I could have sworn I brought down a couple of other things. So, with that in mind, don't go away. I will be right back. Hey, my apologies, guys. Like I said, today has been, to say the least, a little on the scattered side. But that seems to be run of the mill. So, we turn around and pop back close. Now, I was asked about some of the other figures that I've got that I've been picking up lately. Where are we here? Oh, nice. Yeah, Christine's just saying she's making a stir fry with veggies. No chicken, no rice, or carbs. Sounds absolutely delicious. Now, not knowing exactly, and this is, hey, Joe, how we doing? Joe's going, I'm fixing tortellinis in Alfredo sauce. Now, if you mix the two together, we could have all kinds of fun. Now, this is one of those neat little creatures that I picked up. He's going to take some time to paint. But I do like some of these bigger ones. They're easier to show what I'm working with. This is essentially a model. It's a variation on a Cyclops. Okay, I've got a Cyclops up front. But this one's a whole lot nastier. And as you can see, he's only, I think you can see, he's only got the one eye. Okay, one eye, instead of one horn, he's got two. But I'll tell you, this is the sort of thing that we're dealing with the return to paradise. It's critters of this size. And again, we turn around and take a look at the size that are coming out of what you call inner earth. Okay. Now, these are the guys that are coming out. And you got to remember, these guys are coming out already prepped for war. I should have brought the catapult up. But can you picture this kind of critter coming up against a tower? Okay, one of the big siege towers. If you look at the size of him, we are not talking about somebody that is going to be easy to take out. Okay, and what have we got? Yeah, I like that one. The other one that I did pick up recently was this one here. And this guy's just nasty. Okay. He's going to be a lot of fun to paint. Now some of these guys I pick up because I like the way they look. And then I turn around and add to them. Yeah. And if you take a look at the back, the way I'm looking at it, all of this clear stuff here, this is all flame. This guy comes out of the elemental plane of fire. Not a nice chap. Okay. But he ought to be a lot of fun to run with. So I'm sort of, now he's only got one eye. This little monstrosity looks like he's got four eyes and one nose right in the middle of his face. Okay. So this one's gone. What do we got? Oh, not a problem there at all there, Joe. Glad to have you on board. I haven't figured out, I do more of the bigger painting. Mind you, I can do that. But what I'm looking at with these are some of the newest characters that are big enough to show. I mean, I've got a whole pile of little ones. As a matter of fact, where is... Oh, that's the Arborians. That's the giant. Where did I just put them? Oh, right here. Now, get this. Got to figure out which one it is. Take those glasses off. I look at these guys. Now, bear in mind, I have found very few figures that I can work with that are easy to work with, that have modern weaponry. Okay. But this little chap here. Nope, not him. Yes, him. This little guy here. Okay. You take a look at the size of him. Now, this is a standard, we call this a standard 6-foot person. Okay. Now, you take a look at the size of him. Okay. And if he's 6 feet, how tall do you figure this one is? Okay. Now, the neat part about it is this guy has a definitive part in the story. This is the character that is called Hablong. Now, Hablong is a trucker. Okay. You don't actually meet him. I don't think you meet him in book 11. I think you first meet him in book 12. This neat little chap drives a modified big rig. Okay, he drives a modified truck. But his name is Hablong. He's actually just over 8 feet tall. Okay. And he drives a modified big rig. Needless to say, he kind of had to have it modified to actually fit. Now, that's those guys, which are just extra figures. But, where PayPal? Right there. And I might even have some of the people I'm supposed to have in here. I do know who that is. This here would be another one of the characters. This is the last by the name of Catalina Shorman. Okay. And as you can tell, well, you might be able to tell, take a look at what she's carrying there. She's got herself a staff. This is a lass that talks to, that is, by D&D standards, a druid. Okay. And somewhere in this, I'm hoping she's in here. Nope. Of course, the figures I actually wanted have been moved around. So, I mean, if you take a look at it, most of these people I work with are just little guys. Okay, as in just standard human. But, that being said, there's a couple of figures I've got that I'm trying to, and of course, trying to figure out which ones to bring forward was a real neat trick. I think what I'm going to have to do, as a matter of fact, I'm going to make a note of that. Let's see, Displacer Beast goes there. Of course, I've shown you a couple of times. I've taken names, like I've taken standard creatures, turned around and given them different names that fit with what I'm working with. But we're talking about a series that runs over several volumes and over several ages. I don't know if oh, that's because they're up front. Oh, let's see, we have this would be another trucker. Okay. This is the character that I'm using for Rhea. She is the second in command of the Tarmac Terror, which, by the way, is one of those vehicles that I got to build, because you got to remember, and I don't have the vehicles yet. I've got to find the ones I require, which are going to be the ones I really require are semis and some military vehicles. But I'm looking for vehicles that are the right size, because part of what I'm looking at doing on top of the writing is turning around and making little dioramas, because I figure if I can get a diorama done, it's a different way of creating, but it's kind of a necessary way when you think of it. Him. Oh, he didn't belong in there, I don't think. Well, oh no. That's because this guy was in there, so we'll put him back to bed. Seal that. And of course, here's a little sneak peek for you. I do have another series, but when I talk about this being a sneak peek, okay, I'm talking about this being from a series that may be a few years coming up because I'm intending, well, I will get the entirety of the 12 volumes of the Yldrbacian Chronicles done first. This guy here, this would be the figure I'm using to represent Yldrbac. Okay, this is the primary adversary, and I do require, put that there. Need to get that out of the way and find one neat little thing, which would be not warm beige, that doesn't work. Flesh tone doesn't work. That's butter yellow, which is cute, but doesn't work with it. I am looking for, there's sunny yellow. I thought I had bright. And apparently not. Oh, wait a minute. There it is. Vivid yellow. Close enough. Same idea. Now, whoop, put that over here. Then we take this. Now, here's another wonderful one. Now, part of my problem, in all honesty, while I'm doing this, is striving to figure out what colors go good together. And when you're partially colorblind already, trying to figure that out can be a little bit of a challenge. You know, so I kind of play it by ear as I go and try and figure that out along the way. Now, yeah, that didn't work well. Try picking up a toothpick and pushing it right into the paint, so I couldn't use it. Now I take this, take the vivid yellow. Now I can take this neat little character, and go. That works. This here is a nice little staff that Yldrbac packs around with him. And it really worked out well from my end because I started looking at it going, in order, you know, everybody has to have something they're working with. You know, something to help them stand out. So as I'm doing this, I will be writing things in because Yldrbac is going to end up coming in at the end. He's got to come in right at the end of Return to Paradise. Turns out, I'm looking at this now. I'm still going to leave it yellow, or more to the point, gold. But turns out this thing is actually a sword. But I will tell you, just for those of you that think you've got a plan, that you think you can't do it, whatever it is you're aiming at, very important you realize I'm painting tiny little figures, in case you couldn't tell by the size of them. Okay. But I'm painting these tiny little figures. I had a stroke 4 years ago, and I've got myself back to the point where I can actually work with these. I used to paint them all the time and then gave up because my hand shook too bad. Funny part was that when I had the stroke, it stopped my hand from shaking quite as bad, quite as steadily bad. You know, so again, turns out this is actually, turns out that's actually a sword. But the reason I'm using yellow is because for him, it's a golden sword. Just have to figure out what to do with the back end of it here. But again, this simply, I'll be able to look at this, and when I go to write, I can just take a look at the figures I've got floating around and go, this is what I'm seeing. Okay. So that's where that comes in. And by the what? Oh, that is. See, now this is the neat part. See, Yldrbac himself is not a demon. However, because of the way the figure is built, I'm looking at it here. I'm looking at the thing, and he does not have. It's an interesting setup. Much as you can see when you look at him, that he's got horns. Okay, you can see the horns, but the fact of the matter is, they aren't necessary. They don't have to be relegated as attached to his head. So I'm just taking that in the gold that I use, the gold color that I used for the sword, adding it to the head because it's smooth enough that at least at a distance I don't have to worry about it. And I just look at it and go, that's just the color that I'm using for the helmet. AKA this guy has taken, he's taken the shiny stuff and gone, I'm going to make this, I'm going to stand out. Now, unfortunately, if you think about it, in today's world, so many people look at it and go, if I can have something really gaudy, really standing out that screams of money, this makes me a better person. This makes me more qualified. Now, I don't mean that of you guys. I mean that of a lot of people in society. So what I've decided to do is go, okay, let's work with that. And Yldrbac is very much he's got a very high opinion of himself. You think about it, in book 1 that'll be coming out next year sometime. In book 1, there is a short, and I'm not going to try and track it down. There's one character, okay, Kintas is asked to lead a group, or offers to lead a group. TL is asked to lead a group. And then we have Yldrbac, who declares he is going to command the remnants. Needless to say, things go really bad in the south as Yldrbac steps into play and starts conquering the Southlands. But this neat little painting job here means I can look at this guy and go, that's exactly who I'm dealing with. Now, what I haven't figured out, because I've got he's got, well, let's just take a peek at that. Get that out of the way. Better leave him dry for a minute so I don't get paint all over my hand. What do you think? Yeah, I don't doubt that at all, Christine. There is, I wonder, well, I've got it somewhere, but I'm not going to track it down right now. There is a book out, okay, called the Bates Method to Better Eyesight Without Glasses. Okay, now the reason I bring it up is because back in 2007, if I was holding these glasses right here, I could not physically see them. When I stumbled across the Bates Method to Better Eyesight Without Glasses, I read the ideas that he had, implemented them, and turned around, and I can now see I can actually see my physical glasses way out at arm's reach. Have you noticed I stumble over my tongue a lot? Okay, now, something that I said was going to be a sneak preview. This little monster you won't see in the Yldrbac Chronicles. Okay, but this little monster is an interesting little individual. Okay, and he is in the second series of novels I've started writing. I didn't have enough, so I started another one. Okay. And again, guys, I don't have it. Where is it? Yeah. Tell myself that and then cut myself off. That always works. Over here. Over here. Over here. Yeah, let's not do that. What do you think? Here. Uh-oh. I'm running out of ink. Okay. Now this is a small list of the self-help books that I'm working on. Okay. Right now I'm working on Believe in Your Job and Follow Your Dreams. Okay. Working and believe in your creativity, believe in your spirituality, believe in your prosperity, and believe in your family. I've already got believe in yourself, believe in your business, and believe in your finance. But I do have a question for you. If you've got a field or a genre, if you will, of a major group that of a major topic that can be covered in that kind of a setup, I know I've got to find 4 more topics, and somewhere around here I did come up with them. But there are certain things. The reason I called it, by the way, Believe in Your Spirituality, is I'm not going to tell you what religion to follow. I'm just not going to go there. But what I've been showing you is some of the figures I use when I'm doing the science fantasy side of things. Okay. Now, they've already come out. He's already come out. This is only such a small number of the creatures that I've got. Oh yes. I wonder. Put that down there. And we already know and I do believe I set that backwards. Nice thing about creative writing, you can change your mind mid-stride. Because let's face it, who's going to complain about it? Okay, what do we got here? I require this to come back up. That one. Leaner in stature, yeah. Oh, that one's already painted, that's why. What do we got? And Las Vegas, how you doing? Glad you could join us. I ended up in here really late today, which is why I'm still on air here. Actually, I'm amazed it's gone by this fast. But I've got a lot on the go. And like I said, I've got, it was funny. I was looking at the list and I'm going, I'm not done. Well, with that in mind, I can't afford to drop dead anytime soon. I've tried that a number of times. Didn't work all that well. So when you think about that, I'm here to tell you, dying is easy. Okay. A lot of people are afraid of it, but rest assured, from my standpoint, not that big of a deal. Been there, done that, done a whole lot of that. And it's just not that exciting anymore. Okay. But the real catch is living. Now, I asked you guys, I asked you back on Monday to come up with a goal. Okay. Didn't matter what the goal was. I'm just curious if any of you did. And the reason being that I will tell you, all the wishful thinking, all the procrastinating in the world does not accomplish a thing. Okay. And here's the other thing I'm going to start posting on the different sites. Okay. Is the fact that yes, I am now in a position, I've got the right mindset for it, to actually go on other people's shows and talk about the books that I've got. Whether I'm talking about the Yldrbac Chronicles, Races of the Worlds, the Believe in Your series, okay, or the BIY series. Take your pick, since we're a lot of people are into these, little acronyms as of late. I actually kind of like the idea of acronyms. Okay, what was it? Um, oh, I wrote it down, so hopefully I moved it back here. I'm just looking at something I wrote down here. Oh, there we go. Oh, yes. Came across something and talk about going sideways on you. Okay. While I was striving to sort things out with the woman that's helping me deal with the government, I finally figured out a way of describing the way my brain actually works. Because I keep getting asked, how can you possibly work on that many things at once? Well, it's because my brain literally works on what I am now starting and just starting as of today to refer to as the LAP system: logical, artistic, and physical. My brain works on all three at the same time. This is why I don't sit still much. It's also why I happen to still be up and mobile. I think I just got fed up with the idea of being told, oh, you can't breathe anymore. It's like, how about if we don't talk about what I cannot do? It doesn't work well. This is the 16th, so I've got a lot of work I got to do today, because I am going to finish writing I am going to finish putting together the first newsletter. And that being said, guys, it will be coming out on Monday. I will be launching it. I might be able to do it tomorrow, but I can't send out physical ones tomorrow. But sometime tomorrow, I will be able to send out the email versions. Joe, this afternoon. Okay. I'm debating whether I'm due for a pickup today, because this afternoon, while I was actually working in the dining room, there was something going in that was really humming outside. Okay, now I could hear it. The person that was with me could hear it. So I'm not entirely certain what's going on tonight, but that was just today. It's not like I actually get a break that much. Now, Derek, as I've had to tell a lot of people, and I realize this is a joke. This is one of those weird times I get it. At least I hope it's a joke. But I have yet to refer to anybody as master. Although I did have a friend years ago. Okay, he was a very laid back individual. As a matter of fact, it was the chap that built Mickey Finn. Okay, and he was walking through a major mall here with a mutual friend of ours. Nope, not here. He was walking through a major mall in Calgary, and whatever he said, okay, whatever this guy said, or more to the point, whatever Mickey said, the guy smacked him, and I mean just a light cuff on the shoulder. Well, right in the middle of a crowded mall, this guy falls down on the floor, starts covering his head and screaming at the top of his lungs, "Don't beat me, Massa! Massa, don't beat me! I be good, Toby." Now, for those of you that have read it, I forget the author's name, but there was an author, and oh shoot, I'll be right back. and welcome to the joys of live video. My son was just here. What I got was a text from him saying he was leaving. And that being said, I was absolutely not going to let him head off to his not let him head off to his grad party without talking to him for a moment. But this is why they call it live. Derek's just asking. Oh, not a problem there at all, Emmy. Glad you enjoyed it. Derek just asked, has anybody watched the new Power Slap hosted by Dana White, owner of UFX? And then he goes, UFC, aka Typo. Have I watched it? Not at all. Personally, I have a problem. I won't watch boxing, but watching somebody slap somebody else seems absolutely bizarre. Now, I'm all for bizarre. Okay, I really am. Yeah. Now, like I said, this neat little guy is coming from another novel series I'm working on, but that'll be a long time coming out. Because I'm a firm believer, keep things on the go. Now, that is right, Shara. Okay. So we take a look at that. These are just some of the characters I work with, but the reality for me, okay. Yeah, Joe. Oh, there you go. Yeah, Joe. I mean, I know you're going through a real rough time lately, Joe, and I do feel for you, and I hope you know that. And I'm pretty certain I can speak for most of the people in this chat room at this point that we really are, our hearts are really going out to you. The reality of what we're looking at is it is time to absolutely change your world for the better. Now, let us bring this back up and see if I've got anything going on. Sure, knock that on the floor, see if that works. We minimize that. Okay. Now, the nice part about it is I will be working very, very diligently in my eyes to get things moving so people can find out what I'm dealing with. The different books I'm working on. And absolutely, I know we missed a few people coming in today because I had no option but to turn around and be a little late. I had to do things to deal with my kids' grad. And that's just the way my life goes. But like I've told people, to me, family is the thing you look at and that you work with. Okay. That really is the thing to build, to start building, to start rebuilding is more to the point. We go back a couple of decades and family was what everybody looked at. Now we've got these silly things, and the only thing these are useful for really are turning around and disconnecting from people. If you're worried about being chipped, you already are. It's just not subdermal. Okay. Now, I will be working on a number of different projects over the next little while as well. But, again, if you've got a topic, because I haven't picked out one yet for tomorrow, what do we get here? Now, here's the thing. We used to, Emmy's going, she likes, likes bare knuckle fighting. Okay. See, we used to have one, and I think some of you guys my age would recognize it, where you held your hands out like this, knuckles towards each other, and one of you would try and pull your hands back and smack the top of the knuckles of the other person before the other could move. A good friend of mine, well, I'll use the term a good friend, somebody that I know personally has gotten into the UFC, is aiming and getting into the UFC. She's still breaking into it. She's been in a few fights, but she's aiming for the top. Okay. And yeah, no doubt. Now, how many did you go and put into your system there, Joe? You know, the one UFC fighter that I tend to watch is a young lass by the name of that goes by the handle Sweet Maria. Okay, I had a couple of her promo shirts, but I'm pretty certain they wore out. Yeah, I'm pretty certain. But again, I will be myself. And where did I put that little sheet? See, some of the things I will be putting together to go along with everything else. Because, like I said, I sat around and basically did nothing while I sat on my tail feathers and worked for somebody else, put no effort into it. Now I'm looking at it going, it's time to put the effort into it. Now, you've got the same capacity. You do not have to settle for second best. Okay. But, and if anybody comes up with an idea that I might be able to work with in the way like this, right now, I'm looking at developing a line of t-shirts, a line of caps, a line of cups, as in coffee cups. I'm not dealing with these teacups that have a handle on them that you can't put more than one finger in. To me, this just doesn't work. But of course, in all fairness, I'm not going to sit here and hold one finger up while I'm drinking either. You know, tact I'm not likely to develop, but I am doing my best to develop a little bit of class. And rest assured, if you look at it right, I've got a little class. It's like I told somebody when they told me that I was, that I was uncivilized. I looked at them and went, well, probably. But, I am working on the idea of developing a little class. I just haven't figured out how little you'd like. Where are we? There goes. As a young lady, we would put our first down flat on the table, knuckles exposed, and the other would flick a quarter at the other person's knuckles. See, we had some twisted games too, and I'll tell you, civilization has gone a little different. Yeah, no, I mean, honestly, you're not the only weirdo, as you put it. Okay, I mean, you think about it. When I was a kid, we would literally, we didn't have the worry about seatbelts, so we'd walk around. Of course, mom and dad ran the bulk delivery route for the Vancouver Sun. So of course, we'd have 150, 200 bundles in the back of this cube van or more, and we'd be walking around. And you never thought about sitting down. You just got up if you needed to do something. I remember one day we were driving down the road in a pickup, and all of a sudden we decided we needed into the back of the pickup. Dad never pulled over. We just simply got out. We just simply got out of the truck. 30 miles an hour going down the road. Got out of the passenger side and climbed up into the back box. You do that now, you're considered completely off your nut. Okay, our idea of a zip line was a great big thick rope with a knot on it like that big around. Right, you'd run at the thing and it was dangling from a tree. You'd run at it, jump and catch the rope, and swing out over a 300-foot precipice, and then come swinging back in and hope to get off before you end up out there again. But the neat part about it, we had a safety net. If you lost your grip, your safety net was you hoped you hit the branches of the trees that were hanging out from the wood from from the cliff to slow you down enough that you didn't kill yourself when you hit the jagged rocks at the bottom. Yeah, I was kind of thinking that was a little odd. Derek's just correcting things. He had said as a young lady, we would put our fist down flat. And then he comes back, lad, not lady. Because I'm thinking either I missed something altogether and Derek was in fact male, or his parents were really, really cruel. Kind of like a boy named Sue. Okay. But I'm looking at this. I've got a whole pile of things on the go. Oh, okay. Yeah. Christine's going, Emmy, you are definitely not alone. You know, the sad part about it is a friend of mine actually pointed out really neatly. That's terrible, Derek. When I was growing up, it was really a simple thing. Buddy of mine said, coined a neat little phrase. He goes, "Dead fish don't swim upstream." If you're going to go with the flow, okay, if you're going to do that, what you're going to find out is that things don't get very exciting. What I discovered was if you're doing everything run of the mill, then you're not going to have that exciting of that many real exciting tales to tell. Now, I do have a little bit of an advantage there. I don't have any shortage of tales. Oh, that's the other thing I will be putting up as soon as I get them down, as soon as I get them sorted around, is I will be selling prints of the different books that I've got, or of the different pictures in the in Races of the World. These are just different ways of figuring out how to actually make things happen. How to actually turn around and develop a solid income. What do we got here? Well, that's just it. You have to. I guess technically you don't have to. But I came to the conclusion myself that, I've actually got a magnet. I've got a magnet on my fridge that goes, I don't suffer from insanity. I enjoy every moment of it. Because from my standpoint, why not? I mean, when you think about it, being insane boils down to being in the state of sanity. Okay. Now, I'm not sure. Is that next to Ohio or Utah? The state of sanity, I mean. Now, where did all of those go? But yeah, that's some of the figures that I've dealt with. Now, what I got to figure out here is how to get this to seal properly. Apparently, I'm not going to. And I have no idea how I managed to do that so readily. Well, that worked nicely. And I'm missing one more lid. Where, pray tell, did it go? And I'm betting dollars to donuts. You guys can't see it anyway. But no, when you think about it, I went to this meeting and I'm going like, okay, the government wants me to go back to work ASAP. And I'm like, I've got an idea on how to make things work. All I need is a little bit of guidance in part of it, as in how to get the visibility. Now, I know somebody did suggest that I go into, that I open an account with Instagram. I've locked my advertising down as far as what I'm going to spend on it. Okay. as in I am on the Yellow Pages, I am on 411. Other than that, I'll be on social media as much as I can get away with. Okay. On social media, on YouTube, that sort of thing. What I don't know is if I'm missing something that I should be seriously looking at. You know, but the neat part about it from my standpoint is this. Every single thing I talk about my doing, okay, everything I talk about my experiencing, you have the capacity to do it. Okay, you have the capacity to do literally anything I'm doing. Okay, the one thing I suggest you do not try and match. Do not try and match the number of times I've been dead. This is a bad gamble. Okay, so far, if you think about it, go way back to when I was a kid. Before, let's see, 2010, my second oldest brother passed away. Before he died, okay, between myself, him, my eldest brother, and both my parents, we had a combined total of, get this, 27 fatal heart attacks. Okay, now there's only 5 of us, but we had 27 fatal ones, meaning somebody else had to restart our heart. Okay, it stopped cold, and we had to get it kickstarted, as it were. So this is not one of those competitions that you want to embark upon. My guess is it won't work well for you. But with that in mind, okay, what I'm looking at this point, because I'm going to be up most of the night now, quite frankly, waiting until my son gets home. Because, yeah, much as I like to come across, or I like to think that I'm very relaxed, I have to realize my stress level is right off the charts. And tonight is worse than normal because of the fact that my son is actually out at a grad party. And I was at a grad party, or more to the point, friends of mine were at a grad party years ago, and we ended up burying one of them. And that little problem, especially when you think that when I warned this young lass about what could happen, she didn't take me seriously. And the net result was we ended up burying her. Okay. Like it was literally the sister of my best friend at the time. Well, technically the sister of my second best friend. But just a quick note, guys. Because the newsletter is coming out right quick, like I'm only sending it to people that have either deliberately sent me a request via email or here, or however you want to get it to me. I mean, it doesn't matter to me. You can text me on the phone. Okay. If you desire the mail, a physical newsletter, then I need a physical mailing address. If you desire an email version, a soft copy version, I require a definitive from you of with your email address attached. Okay, because I'm not going to be posting it to everywhere. Not the newsletter. That will go out only to the people that actually request it. Okay. Now, in answer to that other neat little question, am I going to be putting special offers in it? It is unclear at this point. One thing is for absolute certainty. I'm only looking at, when I take a look at a 2-page or a sheet, on in between every sheet. Okay, if I'm taking 2 sheets of paper, as in 2 pages, every time you look at 2 pages that size, the biggest, the largest I will possibly go is 1/4 page advertising. Okay, more often than not, it will just be essentially around a business card size. Okay, but understand the odds are okay. The odds are what I'll end up doing. Actually, that's a better option. I'm just thinking here, which is a scary thought in and of itself. Where did I put it now? Oh, let's get that out of my way. Grab this. One, two. Take a look at that. And where is. Should be over here. Well, of course, what I'm looking for is invisible. Why would it be? But no, there will be, I'm looking at getting it moving. Eventually, it'll become a magazine, and like it'll become that size. But that depends on how I grow things. Okay. And that said, it's still not going to be charged for because, from my standpoint, doesn't make sense to charge for it. I'll just run through my advertising budget and be done with it. But the idea is to give you guys yet another venue whereby we can get some good, solid information for you. Okay. Am I going to be reporting on things like, oh, let's talk about which politician did what that was stupid, or let's talk about who robbed what? I'll tell you, I do have a way of putting it in there. Okay. I am going to cover bad news. Okay, but you'll have to see in the newsletter how that works. Okay, on the whole, what do we got here? Oh, there we go. Yeah, that's really encouraging there, Derek. The reality is I didn't date anybody before I met my first wife. Hey, Crystal J, how you doing? Glad you could join us. It's been a hectic day today. No, when I met my first wife, it was a 30-second decision, and the comment was simple. I'm going to marry her one day. Okay. As it turned out, I ended up married to her for 16 years. Then I ended up breaking up. I had a couple of other relationships. You know, yeah. Derek's just going, for me, the best place to meet a woman would be at a function doing community service or something like that. Don't go to the bar. Too easy and it probably won't work. Honestly, I absolutely agree with you. The other thing that I find is really neat going down that same venue there, Derek, is if you can go to a function that you enjoy, not necessarily community service, okay, but like for instance, Dave just had the SOR party, okay. If you can go to an event like that, you're likely to run into people that are a little bit more in your line of thinking. I don't blame you there at all, Joe. You know, the reality is my home life. I mean, I do let people know, yes, my kids come first. And this is why when I got the text from my son I'm leaving, it was like, okay, I'm out the door. And you notice I waited a long time to warn people I was leaving. I just turned around and left. Okay, I will have to get to that. But with that in mind, I am now actively looking for different shows to go on to discuss the books I'm writing, to discuss the way that I look at the world, and see if we can draw a better run. Okay, to see if we can get better visibility and really start the ball rolling to get people moving. Okay. Now, the nice part about it with this little thing This is just a basic outline. When I said that you put things together in point form. Yeah, well, and unfortunately, now I gotta ask Derek, did you by any chance, actually get addicted to them, or did they just have a bad effect on you? That is fantastic, Derek. You know, the fact that you're clear is absolutely fantastic. Now you can put that check up on the wall and go, I'm not that anymore. Now, do not get me wrong. I know for an absolute certainty in most people's cases that once you've got an addiction, I was lucky when I was doing drugs. I never spent a nickel on them. Okay, but being an active empath, boy, could I get a lot of drugs for free. You know, never spent a plug nickel on any of what I was doing. Okay, and only paid for about 2/3 of my alcohol, which meant about 2/3 of the bar stock. And that was, well, I'd kill a 26er a night, and I had a better stock at home than I did, than a lot of the bars did. You know, what I'm looking to do, one of the things I would like to help people see is that the fact that you've been addicted to something doesn't matter what it was. Okay, doesn't matter at all. Addictive personalities have the same barriers. But I am a very firm believer that the statement once an addict, always an addict is absolutely wrong. Okay, you're looking at somebody right now that was and walked away from it clean. Okay, so I'm telling you, every one of you has a viable way of becoming far more successful than what you may believe you're capable of right now. And this is what I would like to see happen. Derek's just going, I did things in phases. One year it would be this one and this, one year it would be that. But overall, I just wasn't happy with my life. And the choice I made, I had to choose life over death and family. And yeah, no doubt. Okay, absolutely. One of the drawbacks of being an addict. Okay, and maybe that's a door to walk down. But I also know it's going to be, if I go down that door, it's going to open up some pretty severe trauma for some people. Okay. And that is one of the reasons why I look at it and go, how you got to where you are. Let's get started on making your life better in your eyes. Okay. Let's take a look at what's going on. Now, am I going to ever, and I've seen people do it, right? I've seen people that will take a stream and they'll get all this information from people and then go, oh, I had this story. And here's a whole book on other people's successes. I'm not interested in writing a book on other people's successes. However, I would love to share some of your successes with you. Okay. As in, oh, I used to be an addict and now I'm able to move about freely. Okay. This is a phenomenal success. Okay. Like I said, when I went to this webinar, I'm sitting there going, you want to teach me how to slow down my writing. What I asked was how to market properly. Yeah, Derek, unfortunately, as an addict, people will get hurt. I was lucky. When I was doing it, my mind never changed. My coordination went right out the window. Okay. But my outlook on people didn't change. In all fairness, I may well have had more tolerance for them when I was drinking and while I was doing drugs. Don't have a lot of that right now. But I do absolutely, and this is something I will do, by the way. And I'm just putting it out there. I'm not going to pay for it before anybody asks. Okay, but I will put this out for you. Okay, if you've got a viewpoint that you would like to share, or that you would like to put in the newsletter, absolutely send it to me. Understand, I will not guarantee. As a matter of fact, I'll pretty much guarantee I won't print everything. Okay, but will I put it in? Will I correct when I talk about editing it? I'm referring to making sure there's commas where there should be, making sure that there is proper capitalization where it's required, and not turning around changing the meaning. So I mean, realistically, if you've got something that you would like to see in print, and I'm not talking about a book, I mean just a viewpoint, just an article. Okay, understand the magazine itself is starting out small. It will eventually get bigger. But the thing I desire this to do is give people a way to actually contribute to helping build this world into a better world. This isn't just my doing. This isn't just my world. Okay. Granted, I've been at this world for a lot longer than likely any of you have been. I was here when it was built. Okay. But this is a way of getting you guys to go, okay, let's get off the couch. Let's stand up and start making this a better world for virtually everybody. There are people that will look at you and go, no, I like the world the way it is. I'm on the top of my game because I've got all this money. I'm telling you, money is not the be all and end all. It will afford you the opportunity to look for things in a lot more places. Derek's just going, last thing. Some of these people were some of the most kind-hearted people I ever met. It's just they had addiction, so... Oh, absolutely not, Derek. People that have addictions are not to be looked down upon. The only time I ever looked down upon a person with an addiction, and I did have to look down upon a few drunks. I remember sitting in the bar one day, and I was sitting there minding my own business, getting bombed out of my tree, and all of a sudden somebody on the other end of the bar, she's standing there, and she's got a drink in her hand, and all of a sudden she falls over backwards. And you hear clear across the bar, help! Somebody stole my stool. She had a drink upright. And I'm looking at her going, yeah, that didn't go well. But no, the only time I ever look down on anybody, in all fairness, is if I'm taller than they are, or if I'm standing in there sitting, or laying down for that matter. Then I'll look down on somebody. Do I have a problem dealing with people that are viciously aggressive? Absolutely. Okay, do I have a mouth on me that is a whole lot less governed than it probably should be? Absolutely. Does this make me worse than anybody else? Probably. But that's for you to figure out. Now, with that in mind, we are at the 2-hour mark here. I am going to bring this to a close. But again, just quickly, if you like the video, do give us a thumbs up. Do subscribe to the channel and share the daylights out of it. It's time to build. It's time to take this and start building a better world with the help of everybody. Okay. And this is why I say I love the people in this chat room. It's just absolutely fantastic, the support that I see here. And I don't mean just towards me. I mean the honest caring that I see towards people in the chat room, as obviously, exhibited by Derek and a few others regarding Joe. This is the place that I desire people to be able to come to and know that they're not going to get looked down upon. They're not going to get ridiculed if they're not being a problem. People come in here being a problem. Absolutely. Do me a favor. Jump on them. Get them out. Okay. There are things that people will ask, and I will ask them point blank. As you've seen, does this make any sense? Okay. I will not get into long, drawn-out debates on things. Not here. somebody wants to debate something with me, if you've got a channel, call me on board. You can run the show. We can debate. Okay. But I am now actively looking for different streams to actually go on, different radio shows, whatever, to actually start pushing the visibility of the different books I'm writing in order to get them out. Yes, I am. I'm fully willing to admit I'm aiming at turning this into a going concern, into something where I can turn around and not only make a living I can survive on, but I can turn around and help other people in as many ways as I can get away with. Okay, and I mean as many legal ways, by the way. Now, with that in mind, I'm going to call this a night, but until we talk again, which this is Friday, we should be tomorrow. Until we talk again, take care of yourselves and each other, and for pity's sakes, stay positive.